Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome once again to the weekly live webinar presented by Affinity Federal Credit Union. Today's topic is working in a gig economy. My name is Oscar Cordova, and I am the External Affairs and Financial Education Manager here at Affinity. I'm in charge of the financial education efforts for the whole credit union in the areas that we serve. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The disclaimer states that all of the information provided to you today is intended to be for educational purposes only. It is not intended to be actual legal, tax, or financial advice. Each person's circumstances are different, and if you want to have a conversation with a professional that can guide you or can have a one-on-one conversation with you, feel free to reach out, and I'll be more than happy to put you in touch with somebody that can help you with that. With that said, let's get the ball rolling. So let's start with this quote. An opportunity-minded worker actively connects with others, learns new skills, and seeks out new experiences. All right. And this was said by Diane Mulcahy. She's the author of The Gig Economy, right? So she wrote an actual book that talks about this new economy that we've been, that not only the country, the US, but around the world has developed. And it was mainly, it existed before the pandemic, but it really came to the forefront while we were going through the pandemic and we were stuck in our homes, or many people lost their jobs or got their hours cut, and they needed to find a new way, a creative way to make ends meet, to earn more money, right? So let's start with a quick introduction. So $1 trillion. So when the pandemic hit about 2 years ago, one of the main recommendations to slow down the spread of the coronavirus around the world was to stay home. As people sheltered in their homes to maintain social distances, they became affected by the shutdown of businesses, the global economy, and it was, a lot of people felt it, right? A lot of people felt the effects of this. Many economists still cannot predict the real impact that in the long run that the pandemic had worldwide, but the United Nations Trade Agency reported that COVID-19 cost the economy, the US economy, over $1 trillion in 2020, okay? So this leads to us defining what the gig economy is. So the gig economy comes from a term that was borrowed from the music world, where back in the day, performers, and still now, performers book gigs that are single or short-term engagements at various venues. So a gig economy is a labor market that relies heavily on temporary and part-time positions filled by independent contractors and freelancers rather than full-time permanent employees. While most industries have experienced a decrease in demand and business, and economy little by little is coming back to normal, or to a new normal, because we were not there yet at the levels pre-pandemic, right? The sector of the economy that is seeing both sides of the pandemic effect is the gig economy. The gig economy is based on flexible, temporary, or freelance jobs, often involving connecting with clients or customers through an online platform, okay? At its core, these are your rideshare drivers, couriers, Instacart shoppers, Airbnb hosts, and other people who provide services through an app-based platform, okay? Now, what are the benefits of gig work or the gig economy? Well, the first one will be that people become independent contractors. So the gig economy consists of workers who are classified as independent contractors and not as employees. Independent contractors in the gig economy are not required to work in offices. Rather, they work on their own spaces. It varies from someone working in a home office, writing articles, to someone working from their car, driving for Uber, right? For many gig workers, directly interacting with customers is the main component of their job. Workers operating in the gig economy are allowed to work any hours that they desire. So this is kind of like a flexibility issue, right? You can set up your own schedule. In most cases, a task will be given to a worker and an end date. But then the worker decides what hours to work and how to complete it. As long as it's complete within the time frame, the gig worker has the ability or the freedom to choose their own work hours. Also, reduce work for some, increase work for others. So some gig workers like rideshare drivers, freelance photographers, and handymen have faced kind of like a reduced workload or work demand due to social distancing practices. But as things are becoming a little normal right now, this may change. So on the other hand, gig workers such as food delivery drivers or online delivery drivers have seen an increased demand while we had these social distancing rules in place. But now they may see a little less work demand, because now a lot of people are getting out, or a lot of people are eating out instead of ordering from home. Another benefit is working from home. So employers have also have a wider range of applicants to choose from, because they don't have to hire someone based on their proximity, right? You could be working here in New Jersey for a company based out of Florida. Additionally, computers have developed to the point that they can either take the place of jobs people previously had, or allow people to work just as efficiently from home as they would from an office or in person, okay? Now, there are some challenges that come with this kind of economy as well. So the first one that I'll speak about now will be worker commitment. So individuals who work as freelancers or gig workers may not be as invested in the organization as if they were hired full-time. In addition, the gig economy companies are generally not known to incentivize their employees. Such an arrangement can create loyalty issues, reduce the likelihood of further work, and also decrease your motivation to work overall, okay? It's different when you are hired by a company, because you know every day you have to get up and be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. When you work in the gig economy, since you set your own hours, these may lead to a decrease in motivation for you to work overall, okay? Also, work and life balance. For some workers, the flexibility of working gigs can actually disrupt the work-life balance, sleep patterns, and activities of daily life. Flexibility in the gig economy often means that workers have to make themselves available anytime gigs come up, regardless of their other needs, family needs or children, and must always be on the hunt for the next gig. So that's another one, the work-life balance, right? Also, benefits and personal expenses. So organizations operating in the gig economy do not provide benefits to their employees. Independent contractors are not completely considered employees of the business. Many employees save money, many employers, companies save money by avoiding paying benefits such as health coverage or paid vacation time. Others pay some benefits to gig workers, but they outsource the benefits program to other management or external agencies. Okay, so sometimes if you have some kind of insurance or paid vacation, many times you're not dealing directly with a company, you're dealing with an external agency. Also, in some cases, organizations within the gig economy are not required to cover personal expenses, such as gas used while driving for DoorDash or Uber or Lyft. Okay, so those are expenses that you need to account for, because this is money coming out of your pocket. Okay. Next, taxes. Okay, another factor to consider is taxes. Many gig workers are surprised to discover that when they participate in the gig economy, they become small business owners in the eyes of the IRS. What might have started as a way to earn a little extra money on the side of a full-time job gets now a little complicated when you have to start thinking about quarterly estimated tax payments, accounting for income and expenses, and filing extra forms and schedules at tax time. So you want to consider making estimated quarterly payments to stay ahead of taxes. You want to separate your personal finances and your business finances to make it easier to recognize what was spent on your gig work when you're ready to make your taxes, right? Deducting miles, the miles you drive for business, can be a valuable deduction for some gig workers. So make sure you keep track of the miles you drive. And many of these platform or gig cut platforms have ways for you to track your mileage while you are on performing the gig work, right? Lastly, isolation. So you don't want to isolate yourself. Working gig jobs is a lot like being a firefighter. It's a lot of waiting around, followed by a sudden burst of this has to get done now. Being part of the gig economy means you are not always sure when you're not always sure there will be work or when it's going to come from, right? So it goes with the territory, and it can become very stressful. So you want to connect with other freelancers or independent workers, network with people in your industry, and many times, if able, you want to form like a gig squad in order to motivate each other, okay? Now, some tips for any of you who are interested in going into this economy. You want to maintain a budget. So you want to try to keep your budgets organized and your finances organized as much as possible. Given the current situation, this may be difficult since your income may be fluctuating or reduced, right? So if you're going into the gig economy, that means that you want to get some extra income, or you're trying to supplement the income that you've lost with gig work, right? But since the gig economy is unable to provide you with like a set amount of income that you'll be receiving, and it may fluctuate depending on how much you work, your budget needs to be flexible, needs to be able to accommodate all of those different influxes of income, whether it's more income coming in or less, right? Also being able to manage your finances is going to help you with those unpredictable times where you may not be able to do any gig work for the moment, for the time being. Remember to consider any expenses you incur related to your work, like gas, protective gear, and meals. The net total you earn in a day or a week should be taken into consideration when you have, in order to have a realistic budgeting plan, okay? You also want to try to avoid working for free. And this includes doing an unpaid project for a potential client to see if you are a good fit. Also submitting a bunch of project ideas or pitches and to see if you understand the nature of the work. Completing a project for free in exchange of exposure. You don't want to do that. Or agreeing to collect payment for a project only if it reaches a certain metric, kind of like page views or likes or shares. You'd want to stay away from doing all of these different things because your time is valuable and you're going into this economy to get extra income. So you want to avoid working for free. You also want to connect with the public. So for certain gigs, such as being a photographer or resume writing, you can order some inexpensive business cards in order to promote your business as the landscape changes. Also, if you attend to networking events where you meet people, you want to have a business card that you can exchange. You also want to create a professional invoicing template to bill clients, and this will make it easier to get paid and track your invoices. Finally, you want to develop an elevator pitch, like a 60-second or less explanation of your skills, so you can repeat when people ask you what is it that you do, and in order for you to increase your client base. Lastly, if you have earned your client's business, if you have made something or you have delivered your something to a client, you don't want to be afraid of asking for referrals. Your client base is based on your client base is the best source of new business, as they can vouch about the quality of your work and the quality that you bring to the table, right? So asking for a referral from a client to one of their friends or family members can help you build and maintain this client base for future business and projects. Lastly, you want to set objectives and expectations. So working in the gig economy means you are self-employed. While this comes with flexibility and independence, it also means that you want to set your own goals. Your goals may be monetary or based on the number of clients you want to serve each day, week, or month. Setting objectives is vital because it directs your attention and boosts your motivation. Make sure your goals are attainable and make the most out of your time and resources, okay? This brings my presentation to an end. At this point, I would like to open up the floor for any questions that you guys may have. Hopefully, I'll have the answers for you, but if I don't, I promise to research the answers for you and get back to you. As a side note, this presentation is being recorded, so you guys will receive a link in a follow-up email for you to be able to rewatch this presentation once it's ready, okay? With that said, let me go ahead and take a look if there's any pending questions at the moment. See, I don't see any questions at the moment, so I'll give it another 10 seconds or so. All right, very good. So I don't see any questions coming through at the moment. So at this point, I would like to bring this webinar to a close. I want to thank you for attending, for being here, for paying attention, and I hope it was informative to all of you. I hope to see you guys next week on our next installment of the weekly webinar. Please be on the lookout for the follow-up email that I'll be sending with the link to rewatch this webinar, as well as the link to register for next week's. All right, with that said, thank you everyone for your time. Have a wonderful afternoon and see you guys next week. Bye-bye, everyone.